$464. That is the exact statistical premium for being smart. According to decades of labor data, that's the average increase in annual income for every single point your IQ rises. If you're smarter, you earn more. It's a clean, linear, logical correlation. But then the logic breaks. In 2007, researchers at Ohio State University followed over 7,000 individuals for decades. They wanted to see if that same intelligence premium translated into a massive net worth. They expected to see the geniuses sitting on mountains of wealth. What they found was interesting. It was the opposite. Once you move past annual salary and look at actual wealth, the money that stays in your pocket, the correlation between IQ and success doesn't just dip, it flatlines. The study revealed a shocking intelligence paradox. People in the genius bracket, those with an IQ of 140, were actually more likely to be in financial distress than someone with an average IQ of 100. They were more likely to max out credit cards, more likely to miss mortgage payments, and significantly more likely to declare bankruptcy. If you are a high achiever, a smart person, who feels like you're running a race on a treadmill, this isn't a lack of effort. It's a glitch in the hardware. Your smart brain isn't helping you build wealth. It's a justification machine. You aren't broke and struggling because you lack information. It's because you're too smart to do the dumb things that actually work. Over the next 10 minutes, we are deconstructing the 3 psychological traps that turn a high IQ into a financial liability and how to finally get out of your own way. The human brain is an evolutionary marvel, but it scales with a specific bug: complexity bias. To a high IQ individual, a simple solution feels like an insult. If you tell a software engineer or a surgeon to simply spend less than they earn and put the rest in a boring index fund, their brain will reject it. It lacks signal. It looks like a waste of time and feels beneath them. In the mind of a genius, if a problem is difficult to solve, the solution must be difficult to execute. So they look for the edge. They spend weeks researching tax loss harvesting, offshore trusts, or the latest disruptive tech IPO. They look for the nuance that everyone else is missing. But while they are busy building a 50-tab spreadsheet to find the perfect entry point, the person with half their IQ has already automated a $500 monthly transfer and gone for a walk. There is a reason 90% of active fund managers, the literal smartest people on Wall Street, fail to beat a simple S&P 500 index over 15 years. It's not because they aren't smart, it's because their intelligence compels them to tinker. In finance, tinkering is not good for compounding. To understand how dangerous this is, we have to look at 2 men who never met: Ronald Read and Richard Foscone. Ronald Read was a janitor and gas station attendant in Vermont. He had no edge. He had no advanced degrees. He lived a quiet, unremarkable life. When he died in 2014 at the age of 92, he made international headlines. Not for his janitorial skills, but because he left behind a fortune of $8 million. He didn't win the lottery. He simply bought blue-chip stocks, held them for decades, and let the boring math of compounding do the work. Now, contrast him with Richard Foscone. Foscone was the literal definition of smart. A Harvard-educated executive at Merrill Lynch, he was so successful that he retired in his 40s to become a philanthropist. He was the genius in the room. But Foscone's high IQ led him to believe he could outmaneuver the market with complex debt and massive real estate bets. During the 2008 crash, his complexity collapsed. While the janitor's wealth was peaking, the Harvard executive was filing for bankruptcy. The janitor won because he was humble enough to accept a simple strategy. The executive lost because his intelligence compelled him to tinker. In wealth building, tinkering is the silent killer. Complexity is often just a sophisticated form of procrastination. If you make a system complex enough, you give yourself a valid excuse not to start. Research without execution is just intellectual entertainment. Smart people aren't just overcomplicating their portfolios. They are overcomplicating their lives to avoid the crushing boredom of consistency. Because for a genius, boredom feels like failure. But in wealth building, boredom is a superpower. There's a dangerous assumption that comes with a high-level career. If you can perform heart surgery, write thousands of lines of code, or win a case in a courtroom, you naturally assume you've solved the game of money. But the skills that make you a great professional are often the exact opposite of the skills required to be wealthy. In your career, you are rewarded for intervention, for spotting problems and fixing them, for being active. In wealth building, you are rewarded for inactivity, for leaving things alone. Psychologists call this competence carryover error. You believe that because you are a level 10 expert in one field, you are a level 10 expert in all fields. This creates the Henry effect. It means high earner, not rich yet. Across the US and Europe, there is a growing class of professionals earning $150,000 or 100,000 euros a year who are functionally living paycheck to paycheck. They aren't poor, but they aren't free. They are trapped in a high-status cage because their intelligence allows them to build incredibly logical justifications for lifestyle creep. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine a specialist earning $400,000 a year. He buys a $200,000 yacht. An average person might admit, "I bought this because it makes me feel powerful." But the surgeon's high IQ brain can't accept such a dumb emotional reason. Instead, he builds a logical fortress. He tells himself it's a mental health investment that prevents burnout, which preserves his high income. He calculates the charter potential to offset the costs. He uses his brilliance to turn a depreciating liability into a logical asset. He's not being dishonest. He's just too smart to see through his own excuses. Smart people don't have bad habits. They have strategic lifestyle optimizations. But the bank doesn't care about your labels. Whether you call it an investment in your brand or a reward for hard work, if the money is leaving your pocket, you are getting poorer. Your intelligence isn't helping you make a better choice. It's just building a more expensive excuse. Now, the most expensive emotion a smart person can have: the need to be right. For most of your life, your intelligence has been your shield. You've built an identity around being the person who knows the answer. But the market doesn't care about your identity. To see this in its most lethal form, we look at the 1998 collapse of long-term capital management, LTCM. This was a hedge fund run by the smartest men in the world. Its board included 2 Nobel Prize winners and the top mathematical minds from MIT and Harvard. They had created perfect mathematical models that proved they could not lose money. They were so convinced of their own brilliance that they leveraged their bets to an insane degree. When the market behaved irrationally, meaning it didn't follow their math, these geniuses didn't sell. Their egos wouldn't let them. They believed the market was wrong and their Nobel-winning models were right. They waited for the world to admit its mistake. The world didn't. LTCM lost $4.6 billion in less than 4 months and nearly collapsed the entire global financial system. An average person can admit a mistake because they never claimed to be an expert. A smart person would rather lose their shirt than lose their reputation for being brilliant. If you find yourself holding on to a failing investment or a dead-end business because you know the data says it should work, you aren't being disciplined or resilient. It's the intellectual trap. We live in an era of infinite data. For a high achiever, data feels like safety. But there is a tipping point where more information actually leads to worse outcomes. In the 1970s, psychologist Paul Slovic studied expert horse race bettors. He found that as he gave them more and more data points, track conditions, horse pedigree, and jockey weight, their confidence in their bets skyrocketed. But their accuracy, it stayed exactly the same. This is the analysis paralysis that kills wealth. You are waiting for the perfect economic climate or the perfect portfolio. You want certainty. But in the world of wealth, certainty is a myth. Success requires simple momentum. Intelligence, unfortunately, creates friction. While you are waiting for 100% of the data, the window of opportunity has already slammed shut. So, how do you escape the smart person's tax? You have to do the one thing your ego hates. You have to be okay with being unimpressive. Wealth isn't built in bold, genius moments. It's built in the boring ones. The cure for the intelligence paradox is radical simplicity. It means admitting that a dumb automated index fund is smarter than your 50-tab spreadsheet. It means accepting that a 5-year-old car that's fully paid off is a more intelligent move than a luxury lease, regardless of what your colleagues think at the firm. Take a moment. Look at your bank account, and then look at your resume. If there is a disconnect, it's not because you aren't capable. It's because you've been playing a game of status while wealth is a game of substance. The most intelligent thing you can do today is to simplify. Your IQ got you into the room. Your humility will get you out of the rat race. Wealth doesn't care how high your SAT score was, it only cares about how long you can stay out of your own way. The question isn't whether you're smart enough to get rich. The question is, are you humble enough to actually do it? If this challenged your perspective, leave a comment below with the one simple habit you've been overcomplicating. Hit that subscribe button to join the community, and let's start rewiring your brain for wealth. Your friend who wants you to win, and I'll see you in the next one.